All right, let's dive back in. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're stepping into the shadows. We're looking at a text that doesn't just challenge history, it tries to rewrite the very origin of human consciousness.
And it's more than a reinterpretation. It's a complete subversion. We're talking about a shadow history where the villains of the Bible are actually the architects of our civilization.
Yeah, and if you're looking for a comfortable Sunday school lesson, you're really in the wrong place. This is the stuff that makes the church lose its sleep.
We're diving into The Hymn by Jackson and Howard. And right from the jump, the authors are pointing us toward this figure, James Bruce. They describe him as a classic scholar, a Freemason, and this is the hook, someone whose journey to find the source of the Nile was likely just a cover for a much deeper mission, finding lost documents and treasures linked to the Black Jews of Ethiopia.
Because archaeology is such a boring excuse for an adventure, isn't it? I mean, why just find a river when you can hunt for the suppressed archives of a lost civilization?
It sets the tone perfectly. It's that feeling of, that hidden current we always talk about. The idea that there's a lineage of knowledge that simply wasn't allowed into the mainstream textbooks.
Exactly. And the book moves from Bruce to the core of the myth, the Book of Enoch. Now, look how they frame the Grigori. They aren't just demons, they're watchers. They're guardians of the world.
But then in here comes the scandal. They see the daughters of men and, well, they decide to move in.
They don't just move in, Paco. They marry them. They create the Nephilim, the giants.
But look at the why behind the descent. This is where the authors make their most provocative claim. They argue that the rebellion of the fallen angels, the Luciferian tradition, wasn't an act of malice. They call it a Promethean sacrifice.
A sacrifice? That is such a wild reframe.
It is. He says they were chosen for their descent to help the spiritual evolution of proto-humanity. The idea is that early humans were stuck in this hylicose state, just purely material, instinctive, animalistic. We were in a material prison.
So instead of being evil, these angels are like cosmic tutors, bringing the fire?
Precisely. He says they brought the seed of Gnosis to awaken us from the sleep of the material universe. They wanted to move us from Adam of the red clay, that heavy, earthly version of us, to the Adam of diamond.
I love that imagery. The idea of the soul being transmitted from something dull and earthy into something brilliant and crystalline. It's so kinetic.
It's also a massive way to dodge the good versus evil binary. If the fallen are actually the liberators, then the entire foundation of Christian morality is flipped on its head.
Talk about a tower moment. Speaking of which, the book brings up this idea of the Compagnons du Tour in France. They believe Lucifer was destined to be a spirit eternally inhabiting the human mechanism.
That's a heavy line. Inhabiting the human mechanism. It makes the body sound like a piece of hardware that needs a software update.
Which is exactly what the text says. It's about the embodiment of divinity in flesh. It's not about escaping the body, but about infusing the body with light.
But wait, look at how they list the actual payload of this divine intervention. It's philosophy and technology.
Yeah, Azazel is teaching people how to make swords, knives, and even how to use coal for eyeliner. Even the apocalypse needs a bit of cosmetics.
But seriously, look at the pattern. Azazel brings metallurgy and fire associated with Mars. Shemiaz brings magic and roots. Kokabeel brings the star's Mercury.
It's a planetary syllabus. They aren't just teaching tricks. They are embedding the structure of the cosmos into human culture. Every craft, every science is a fragment of this angelic descent.
It makes you wonder if our very tools, our metallurgy, our astrology, are inherited from this moment of contact. Are we actually progressing, or are we just slowly remembering?
That's the question the book leaves us with. Are we the atom of red clay still struggling to wake up, or are we finally seeing the diamond underneath? Okay, so we just saw this incredible list of cosmic tutors, the planetary angels. But look at how the authors connect them back to the heavy hitters of history. They aren't just making up names, they're tracing a lineage.
Yeah, they're literally mapping the stars to the myths. Like, they say the prophet Amos calls one the star of the god Rifon, which is just an Egyptian way of saying Saturn.
It's like a cosmic game of telephone, but with much higher stakes. They link the angel Shamchiel directly to the Babylonian sun god Shamash.
It's a pattern. They take these fallen figures and show they are actually just echoes of ancient solar, lunar, and even Martian energies. Even the modern stuff Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, they're just adding new layers to the same old celestial syllabus.
But here's where it gets really intense. They pivot from the planetary list to the Yazidis. And remember what we said earlier about the Luciferian lineage?
Right. They say the great Yazidi angel, Melek, Taus, the peacock, Angelus actually Azazel.
And it gets even darker or lighter depending on how you look at it. They call him the Black Serpent, the original serpent of wisdom in Eden.
And they link him to the Egyptian Ra Horakhtai, the Red Peak. It's all one massive interconnected web of light-bearing energy.
It's a lot to digest. It's like they're trying to prove that evil is just a label we slapped onto a very ancient, very powerful type of intelligence.
Wait, hold on. Does anyone else hear that?
Seth, is your mic doing that thing again? It sounds like a swarm of angry bees.
Sorry. It's probably the new interface I was tinkering with. Let me... Okay, much better. Sorry everyone, I was getting too excited about the Egyptian connection.
Don't apologize. The buzzing actually added a nice chaotic energy to the discussion of the cosmic descent.
Let's get back to it, because this next part, it's beautiful. They bring in the Poimandres. It's this 1st century Hermetic text, and it describes the descent of the heavenly man.
I love this imagery. The anthropos, this being of pure mind, light, and life, is just drifting through the spheres.
And then he sees the sublunary world, the world of matter, the Hyle, and he's attracted by the reflected beauty of it.
So it's basically cosmic lust? He sees the reflection of beauty in the physical world and just falls for it?
Exactly. The text calls it insatiable love. This divine being falls into the arms of dark nature, and suddenly he's no longer free. He's subject to fate. He's subject to time.
That's so heavy. The idea that our very existence is a result of a divine being getting trapped in the web of causality.
But wait, look at the quote they use from the scholar Frances Yates. She says, "The fall of the Hermetic man is more like the fall of Lucifer than the fall of Adam."
That is the punchline of the whole chapter. It's not about a human breaking a rule. It's about light descending into darkness.
Which explains why the authors are so obsessed with the Luciferian angle. If the fall was actually an immersion of light into matter, then the fall isn't a tragedy. It's an invasion of consciousness.
It changes the whole way you look at the shadow. The shadow isn't where the bad things hide. It's where the light is currently being processed through the heavy material density of the world.
It's a massive reframe. It turns the entire human experience from a punishment into a process of transmutation.
And it ties back to what we were discussing with the atom of red clay. The goal isn't to escape the body, but to bring that celestial fire back into it.
So we're basically trying to turn our hardware back into software that can run the divine programs.
Precisely. They end this section by talking about the Kuvarna, this Persian concept of divine radiance. The idea that a mage's goal is to separate this luminous essence from the profane body.
To reach a state of pure will and perfected body of light. It's so much more active than just praying for salvation. It's about becoming the light.
It's a technical manual for the soul. Use this ritual, achieve this resonance, and become an archangel. A bit ambitious, don't you think, Seth?
Well, in a universe built on sympathetic resonance, if you can find the right frequency, why not? Okay, so we've covered the cosmic tutors and the planetary syllabus. But now, the authors shift from the heavens to the earth, specifically to the ruins. And it gets physical.
I was waiting for this. They move from the atom of diamond back to the grit and the stone.
Exactly. They start talking about these sacred birds. They mention Yersana, who brings royal light seed to Earth to fertilize a mortal maiden named Dyarak.
Fertilize a mortal maiden. Man, these ancient myths do not hold back on the romance, do they? It's always a cosmic seed and a beautiful woman.
It's biology, Paco. It's the descending of divine essence.
Right. And look at the imagery they use to describe these guardians. They talk about the sacred bird of Anga of Arabia, living on a mountain topped with emeralds. But then in this is the part I love. They link it back to the Egyptian Bennu bird.
Oh, the phoenix. I love the phoenix.
It's more than just a pretty bird. He says the Bennu bird is a primary phoenix, a symbol of the Lord of Light's cosmic seed. He even cites the papyrus of Nevisensi, saying, "I appeared as the Bennu bird, the morning star of Ra."
So the bird is the dawn. It's the arrival of the light.
Precisely. And he pulls in this fascinating detail. He says the phoenix in Egyptian hieroglyphs can represent the Ankh, the sign of magical transformation, or even the Akhti, shining ones, who live behind the polar stars.
So it's a symbol of the soul's capacity to become something immortal, something shining.
It's so beautiful. But then the text takes a turn. It moves from the beauty of the phoenix to the Tower of the Titans.
And the mood shifts instantly. We go from morning stars to frost on the gates. He quotes this old English elegy about ruins, about the creations of giants and masons being covered in frost.
And here we are, back to the giants, the Nephilim, the big guys.
Right. And look, the authors are being careful here. They aren't saying these were literally 50-foot tall monsters. They say it is hard to say, but they point to archaeological finds of large proportion prehistoric humans.
But they suggest a much cooler theory. They propose these giants were a hybrid semi-angelic race, possessing superhuman psychic and magical powers.
So giant isn't a measurement of height, it's a measurement of capacity. Like they were larger in their ability to tap into the divine.
Exactly, like the Celts, where a giant was someone with extraordinary power. It's about the expansion of the human mechanism.
It's like being a heavyweight in a boxing ring, but instead of punches, you're throwing spells.
Exactly. But the scale of this is massive. He talks about lost civilizations, Atlantis, Hyperborea, Shambhala, all ruled by these giant races of wisdom. And he even asks a pretty provocative question about modern climate change.
Let me guess. He's wondering if the melting polar ice will reveal their secrets?
He says, who knows what the icy vastness of the polar caps will reveal with global warming.
Talk about topical. Even the ancient shadow history is worried about the melting glaciers.
But it's more than speculation. He connects this to the actual geography of myth. He mentions the colossi of the Titans, and even the way of the builders in the Mediterranean, linked to the peoples of Atlantis and even the giants of the Assyrians.
And it all converges on this one figure, Nimrod, the mighty hunter.
The man who started it all. The builder of the Tower of Babel.
And look at the claim here. It's wild. He says the Masonic manuscript of Cook from 1430 actually attributes the status of Grand Master of the Masons to Nimrod.
So the very first Mason was the guy who built the most famed construction project in history?
That's the irony, isn't it? The Tower of Babel, the Babyloni, or Gate of the Gods, was the center of the universe, and Nimrod was the architect.
It brings us back to the whole theme of the show. Everything, the architecture, the magic, the very structure of our cities is built on these forgotten foundations of a much more powerful, much more angelic era.
A shadow history that isn't just buried in the sand, but embedded in the very stones we walk on.
And if the seed of the gods is still in our DNA, then maybe the rebuilding isn't about architecture, but about ourselves.
If we're going to decode the DNA of the gods, I need a moment to breathe.
Same. Let's just do a quick spinal twist and reset.